Hello, everybody. We're here. It's launch time. I've been freaking out like all day. I'm very, very excited to introduce for like on live stream, introduce the people that I've been working with for like the last couple months on this, or longer in some cases. So let's do some introductions. I mean, you already know who I am, but next to me, I don't know if you're next to me, Ked, on your screen, but you are on mine.
Maybe somewhere.
All right, Ked, who are you? What do you do? And what are you
Who
doing
am
for me?
I? I am the official emotional support Canadian of the RPG community space. If you need it, if anyone needs it. But I do a lot of things. I've worked with various other companies before. I've worked closely with like Money Cut Games. I've got a deal I'm working with a little bit with Free League coming up, stuff like that. I'm doing my own RPG called Void Home, which is based off of the Cypher system by Money Cut Games. And I got a YouTube channel and I do lots of stuff there. And I guess I'm working on this. I guess. Maybe.
just a little bit. You've been chomping at the bit for weeks to get your hands on starting the layout design.
Yeah, like finish the editing. Damn it.
Speaking of editing, Andrew, are you there?
Hello.
Who are you? What do you do? And what do you do for me?
I am a mysterious stranger that comes in, rearranges your sentences, and then leaves with no trace.
So it does feel like that sometimes. Like, wait, hold on. There's. When did these notes pop up?
Midnight, because I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about sagas. I'm the copy
mood.
editor. Yeah, I mostly just rearrange sentences and rephrase words and make sure all the rules are watertight so that no one can break the game.
Oh, people are gonna break this game.
People are gonna break the game, yes.
Yeah. But it'll float. It will float, I promise. And now, just joining us on camera, our project manager. Hi, Angie. How's it going?
I guess I could unmute before I talk, but I'm sick, so if I sound absolute backroads raspy, that is why, so I'm sorry. But like you said, I'm Angela, and I do in my day-to-day job, I'm a project manager, and I also am the owner of Little Cord, which is a TTRPG Discord community we're getting close to 1,500 members, which is pretty cool. Got like 40 campaigns running with probably like 3 to 5 different one-shots every week, so that's neat. Also have Mimicnomicon, which is an anthology that I've kind of created and am releasing over the course of the next couple years.
Yeah.
But we have so far the Kitchens and Taverns, and actually releasing this month is the grocery store, so even shopping at your local grocery store is not safe. But I'm excited to be on here because I got to have fun. You guys didn't get to experience it, but I got to enjoy the wonderful SAGAS game. And I got to be Munchie, a squirrel food critic. And I saved un Spaghet in my mouth, and I used it to take down a goddamn hornet. Okay? So
I came into that game thinking, it was in Grimm, which is one of the mini adventures we're going to be publishing after the core rulebook. And I ran one of my playtests using Grimm, and it was like this dark, gritty, but still kind of cute, like sad, there were themes of death and gang wars and all sorts of that stuff set in like a steampunk Victorian bookshop where everybody plays mice. And then I set your game in it, and everything just went out the window. I feel like you spent half the session talking, your character was talking with spaghetti in their mouth.
Oh.
But it was like it's tiny, so it's really just one spaghetti, and that was the joke the whole time.
I just had that spaghetti, and then I just shot it out, and I got a crit. I was rolling so bad the whole game. Okay, I guess as context, I normally roll probably like the best rolls ever as a GM, but when I'm playing, I have the worst rolls possible. And it was like, I'm gonna be great at Sagas because I roll terrible when I'm a player. And then lo and behold, I rolled bad in Sagas, and I was rolling high numbers. And then I finally got a crit, and it was with the spaghetti. Yes, never forget the spaghetti.
That was a good game. Good game.
Last,
but certainly not least for our intros, the one that has been working with me the longest of the people on stream. Hi, Rook. How's it going?
Howdy. It's going pretty good. I don't know a lot to say, I guess. Yeah, we've been working on this for a little while now. I say we. You've been working on it for a long while. I'm just doing art, and it just happens to get pulled along with the project. So, yeah,
and
I'm here. I'm along for the ride.
Amazing. And one of the biggest like reasons that this is able to happen so quickly is because of your art. Like you do this. If you guys don't know, Rook Zero on YouTube, this guy, he does multiple times a week, draws your characters from chat. And it's amazing. The drawings on the Discord server are fantastic. I love all of them. It was very difficult to look through and like pick which ones we might put into Sagas. But it's great. So thank you so much for, taking my commission for the cover art, because that's also fantastic.
Yeah, I really had a lot of fun drawing those. It's fun to kind of branch out and do different genres from time to time, because I get kind of stuck doing just D&D stuff. But I've done everything from sci-fi to, sci-fi, fantasy, and then just like traditional like creature art, which I've done that for a while. So it's nice to do that again, because YouTube loves D&D and I love cyberpunk. So like there's all kinds of different things that I get to play with based on this. But yeah, every Wednesday and Friday, people can come hang out in the live stream and suggest their characters to draw. So if they want to do that, they're very welcome to.
A good time. So before we start looking at actually launching this thing, I did say this would be a little bit of a Q&A. So there are some questions in chat. All from Tavernaut. Thanks for hopping in, Tav. First question. Wait, what is a Sagas, and can I eat it? I think you will be able to eat it. It might be might be a while. One spaghetti worth of eating, because we are going to have physical copies. I'm not going to confirm nor deny how edible those copies might be. But they will exist once we get funded. There is going to be
paper before.
I think I have too, but it's been a couple decades. So there is
Make sure to add one
goal
blank page
there.
that just says like "eat this page."
That would be such an unhinged game. And there's got to be some sort of mechanical benefit to eating a piece of this page.
But hear me out. What if it had art of un spaghetti? And it was just in memory of un spaghetti.
Oh, man. All right. That sounds like the best one-page RPG ever. The one that you eat as you go.
You could also just include one spaghetti in each book as a bookmarker and just let people decide what to do with it.
Yeah, it would mark one page permanently.
Individually wrapped spaghettis.
In all seriousness, though, we do actually have a stretch goal for physical copies. Whether we hit that stretch goal or not, there are going to be print-on-demand copies on DriveThruRPG when we're finished. But if we do hit the special physical copy stretch goal for the Kickstarter, we are going to be having a guest artist come in and do an alternate cover that is exclusive for the Kickstarter only. And this is going to be the only time you can get it. I've been working with her for a hot second, looking at what that design might be, and I'm so excited. I really, really hope we're able to hit that stretch goal. Now, moving on to our next question, are sagas sweet or savory? I am going to go with savory or sweet. It is your choice. That's the whole point, right? Right? Is that unacceptable, or does that feels like a cop-out?
Why so many food questions? They know this is not like a
so I'm not
cookbook, right?
surprised.
This might be from my Discord. I'm not sure. So I apologize for all the food-based questions if they are from me, because that's normal for us.
Wait, who is the guy with the beard? Well, we just did intros, Lee, so sorry if you missed that one. Hi, I'm Beard2. Over here in the other corner is Beard1. We do TTRPG stuffs. Let's see. Questions. Am I almost caught up? Let's see. Do not trust the Tav. All right, no more questions from Tav by his own vote. That's all right. We have been waiting since last year. How long are you going to make us wait to throw our money at you? I'm feeling a consensus from chat. Let's see. Taryn's in here too. Hey, Taryn. Good to see you.
How dare he?
How dare. How about a letter that comes with a physical copy and it comes on rice paper? That's actually like a reasonable request that could be done. I can't believe someone found a solution for this.
Yeah, print your character sheets on rice paper, and then when your character dies permanently, you have to eat the sheet before you can make a new one.
Okay, if we get the second to last stretch goal, it's going to be an edible copy of the book.
Should we do another stretch goal of like food of sagas, and we just have to make the same spaghetti dish, but from all the different areas?
The last stretch goal, of course, is Dennis's OnlyFans page, but if we get the second to last one, it'll be the edible.
All right. I think it is time, before we get too far off the rails, we do have an actual question in here about the design of the game, which is not what I was expecting. But Adam wants to know, could you explain the design philosophy behind not having specific types of checks? The traits, struggles, etc. focus primarily on how they affect types of checks, but the check types seem arbitrary. Right. So one of the way I decided to make this a actual live up to its name, setting and genre agnostic system, something that can be played in every world and tell any story. Each different story is going to have different kinds of checks that are needed. Like a heist is not going to call for the same kinds of checks as a rom-com, unless you're doing a rom-com heist, which is definitely a thing and would be amazing. But that's also not going to have the same kind of checks as a cyberpunk heroic setting or a deep, dark, modern horror kind of thing. Like, you're going to want to be able to roll to see if you remain sane. That's not going to be useful for most genres that people are going to be playing. I have people roll for sanity all the time. So our way around this was to make it so that the GM can just call for a check to complete the task that the player is trying to complete. And the player is the one that will determine what on their character sheet can apply to whatever skill they're trying to do. And it has been working amazing so far. We haven't run into any problems with not having a huge list like in D&D of, you've got your athletics, your acrobatics, your insight, it just goes on and on and on. And it's one of the things I actually don't like about D&D. Shh, don't tell wizards. Actually, I don't care. You can tell wizards. They don't know me. But I find it slows down the actual role play, and instead I think that a player who knows their character sheet well is going to be able to instantly know what die they're going to be able to roll for that check. Same can be said for pretty much any game, but I think it's going to be easier in Sagas. And
I have
think
2
the
cents
rest
for that.
of
If
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind me jumping in as well.
Yeah.
I've played like a lot of games over the years. You can tell from the gray here. I'm older than I need to be. So I played a lot, including a lot of Universal games. And I find, especially these days, more the Universal games that are embracing the like it's a check, then the players determining what type and not specializing it. Yes, it's important for Universal RPG, but I think as an accidental happy accident byproduct thing, it's also allowing players to be way more creative, because whether you're stabbing a goblin in the nose or negotiating with a megacorp, the fact that it's all the similar type of check means you can be creative with what you say you're doing. And that's, I think, the beauty of these types of systems.
I agree wholeheartedly, and it's why I made it this way. I just like universal systems in general, and that's why I made one myself. I think with that, though, it's time to actually go launch. So, I've never launched a Kickstarter before, so it might be a second, but I'm clicking an I'm ready to launch button, and immediately it gives me a thing to read. So, shoot the shit.
I'm ready
Talk
to
about
launch.
how
Put in
edible
your
Sagas
tax
is
form.
going to be.
I'll go find other questions. There's other questions that got put in there too.
I actually have a comment for the last question, because it does seem like this person is talking about the free version you can get right now from Drive-Thru RPG, and I want to say this is something we did kind of notice that it kind of seemed to imply arbitrary check types, and so we've done some work rephrasing those rules to make sure that it's very clear that it's more of a conversation of like, okay, it's this idea for the check, and like what skills, what kind of things on your character sheet can you convince me that can apply, rather than having some categories and some like looser categories. So it's better now than the old version, I promise.
Progress.
You know, some people have
there's-
different viewpoints on that. Like some people like I myself encourage my players to haggle with me. It's like, I will say,
Mhm.
we're doing this thing. You convince me what you think is a good thing that you're doing that with. Whereas like, I know
Yeah.
some people they call it a mother may I, and they're not as big on it, but I like it because my players get to be like, I got this creative idea. What do you think? It is supported by the rules in this way. And I'm like, let's give her.
Yeah, that's always fun to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'd rather them have their moment than me be like, but the rules said. Like,
Yeah.
no. Like,
And
give
I,
me
like,
all your
in
creativity, please.
every single game of Sagas that I have run, which is, I lost count a while ago. It has, every single time, the players have surprised me in one way or another with creatively using whatever abilities they have, because Sagas calls for it, like gives so much room for that creativity. Like, I didn't know you were going to use Control Earth to open up a hole beneath the guy and then close it on top of him the next turn. Brilliant. Yes, of course I'll let you do that. He's gonna find a way to get out, of course, because I am also creative, but it's a great, like, I love being able to describe those, like, cinematic moments and letting the players be able to describe them as well. And Sagas does that a lot. I think we have one more in here from Phoenix Six Fire.
We got a couple more questions in here, actually.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions.
All right, if you know one, go ahead and read it out.
So there's an
I
older
am-
one. Before the question you pointed out, Sea Snail asks, how good is your system at handling a player trying to suplex a boulder? This is also something we talked about in the editing process.
It is.
Because I think I brought up what happens when you are trying to kill a vampire by dropping a chandelier on them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it fits with the same rules for everything. It's the same type of roll. It's the same type of like, okay, what on my character sheet, what in the environment can I add to it to change what dice I roll? So it's really straightforward and simple, and you can do a lot of fancy descriptive stuff without changing the rules too much, and it still works the same way. So I'd say it's good at handling it. Maybe not super like, it's not gonna calculate the exactly what happens when you suplex a boulder, but you can do it, and then you can kind of be creative with the outcome, still following with the default rules.
Yeah, it's very much a you want to suplex that boulder. Okay, what do you have on your character sheet that might help you? Are you a fast runner? Are you going to get a running start and try to drop kick this boulder into off the cliff? Are you going to actually like grab it, lift it, and suplex? If you can justify whatever ability you're using, yes, you can use it. That's I've always run games that way, and most of the people that I talk to that also run games have a similar philosophy of, if you can justify it, yes, that applies. And that is also the philosophy that SAGAS runs on.
Yeah,
What
Phoenix's
else?
question was based on everything that was said. I presume, Phoenix, you haven't looked at the free copy that was available yet, but you're kind of just joining in because of Little Cord, which is how does leveling work for the system, if there's leveling at all, was Phoenix's question.
Yes, I can break that down real quick. So, when you level up in SAGAS, you can either increase your maximum health or your maximum effort. And effort is basically like a mixture of like spell slots, stamina, mana, everything boiled down into one thing. So no matter what kind of class you're playing, you could, every time you level up, get more effort and still only have the 2 starting health you get at the beginning and be like the ultimate glass cannon at the highest level we allow, which right now is 10. And you also get to look at the actual talents that you've taken, so all of your learned abilities that you get from, you know, whatever in-world you get them from. And you can either level those up with you, or you can learn new ones from the base, the ground up. And leveling up is actually quite simple. Like, we were playing a Horizon Zero Dawn game, and one guy realized, oh wait, we're level 3, I'm only level 1. Well, we'll just finish the session. We can't stop it for a level up right now. And in the scene we were playing, right at the end of it, he's like, well, okay, level up is done. Wait, that was 5 minutes. Are you sure you got it? Yep, 100%. You only have to do like 3 things. And that's true. Leveling up is super simple, with the exception of decision paralysis, because there's so many options. All right. I got any other questions before I click this tiny little terrifying launch project button?
If you want to answer one more question, there is one before you hit launch. I love the dice system being so different from the norm. What was your inspiration for this? From Tavern
I didn't
Hawk.
actually have... No, I don't know of any other systems that do it. I know one, I don't remember who makes it, but Shift is a game system that's being developed right now that is using a similar, like, change the size of the die instead of adding or subtracting modifiers. And I wanted to get rid of modifiers entirely. Early on in development, like, you can go through into my live streams right now, and it's like developing the mathless RPG. That's what SAGAS was originally. I was trying to make an RPG that used dice but didn't use math. And I quickly realized that's basically impossible depending on your definition of math, because understanding whether one number is higher than another or not is technically math. So
You don't have to
couldn't
do any
actually call it
additional math other
mathless.
than knowing.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
different dice.
Comparative math.
The only system I know of that also does that is this one, which is polymorph.
Okay.
That's a rule set, but it doesn't function like
No.
SAGAS at all. So
None of them are quite the same. I mean, Kids on Brooms, Kids on Bikes is a kind of similar because it's different die size depending on which ones you're good at for the stats, but they're very static. Like, it's one die for each of the stats and then you're done. Versus, like, as you get better or worse, like, the die size doesn't change like in SAGAS. SAGAS very unique as far as that's concerned.
super unique.
So To answer the actual question, I didn't really have any inspiration except for doing math to try to make a mathless game. I looked at it and I said, okay, if I can't add or subtract from this result on the die to like tell you that you're better or worse at completing this check, what other variables could possibly be applied to that? And my favorite one that I came up with was changing the actual die that you roll.
No positive math, no negative math. Just choose the shiny click-clack math rock that makes sense.
Yep.
But I'm Pathfinder. Pathfinder's my friend.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna press this button.
Do it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
pull the lever,
Press it
Crunk.
now.
Click. Click.
Drum roll.
Click the button.
Drum roll.
Click
It's still.
the button.
Congratulations, your project is live. I'm gonna refresh this
Woo!
little page right here, and now
Let's
you
go!
have the option. Yeah,
It's
to back it.
live! Go do it.
Amazing. I don't know if this is gonna like update live or not.
It is. I just saw it. I just saw it go live.
Well, do I have to keep refreshing this page that I've got shared? There it is. There it is. Our
Already got a
first
pledge.
backer.
There we
is
go.
in.
Let's go!
This is exhilarating. I am sweating in my chair right now, and it is very cold in this room. We actually got snow for the first time in forever today, so it is much colder than anticipated. There is a ton of information on that Kickstarter story page. We spent a lot of the last couple days ironing out the details of, you know, who's working on this project, who could possibly work on this project, depending on how much money we are able to raise. We've got that D'Angelo on hold. We've got Space Jamber on hold, both for making much larger supplements than we are planning. Right now, the bottom 3 tiers for backing, you get the core rulebook, early access, before the people on Drive-Thru RPG get to it. This is going to be the beautifully laid out design. And, oh, I'm just realizing live that we don't have that preview of the layout.
Oh, here. You know what I could do? I've actually got the Affinity open right now. I could like stream it to the Discord. You could throw it on the stream.
Yeah, we can do that.
I can make this work somehow. One second.
So we'll show off what the sneak preview of the layout is going to be. And it's amazing. You guys are gonna love this.
Yes.
We have a couple other people on retainer. I don't know if retainer is the right word for this. There it is. That is the layout we're looking at, and I freaking love it. It is so clean. You've done an excellent job on, these are only 2 of the pages.
Yeah, this is just like a rough, like this isn't exactly what the final is going to be like, but it is. I'm focusing on usability and readability for everyone, including those that may have difficulties reading certain things. We're trying to make it as large and easy to read as possible. There's navigation buttons on the side for the digital versions, so you can like flip through as easily as possible, making sure everything is well contrasted. I want to make sure it's as easy to consume as it can be.
And that's exactly what we were going for. We're going for accessibility, because even if like in its final iteration, once all of this early access stuff is done and we've got like, you know, a couple of supplements already out there, the final version of Sagas is going to be pay what you want. This is going to be so accessible. There's going to be tons of supplements for it. We've got 5 planned right now.
We had talked about it. I don't know if I should say it or not. We had talked about the mobile compatible version and plain print versions. Were they a thing in there, or am I saying things I shouldn't say?
No, those are okay. We do have those and a lot of other stuff hidden inside the higher tiers. We're still keeping them hidden, so we have the chance to, you know, shuffle around depending on what monkey wrenches get thrown at us. But very excited for a potential mobile version as well, depending on how many funds we get to. We're already past 500, guys. This is amazing.
Nice.
We our 5 supplements have all been tested already. They have not actually been worked on, but those are something that I am very excited to get underway, especially with after we plug in the extra stuff. Like first couple stretch goals are the horror rules that you all have unlocked already for getting to 100 followers before the campaign. So optional horror rules are going to be tagged in there as an appendix for this game. We are going to be doing rules reference cards printed out on sheets that you can cut out and hand to your players, or just be able to have like a little image for them to have up on their computer to understand, like, because there's a lot of very common questions that get asked with every TTRPG, and I saw a lot of board games that I know and love have quick rules reference cards that you can just have in front of you in case you don't know what you can do on your turn. We're going to do the same thing with Sagas once we hit 10,000. And then after that, anime rules, which I'm very excited for. One of the larger supplements is going to be expanding on those. It's going to be a 20,000 word book for specifically if you want to run an anime game using Sagas.
Oh yes, senpai.
Well, we've done so many already, and like the being able to describe those super epic final blows is going to be fantastic and amazing. Because that's one of my favorite parts of Sagas is like watching the characters do that final team up stack, helps on combos on helps on combos. And so one person's rolling like 5 dice, gets a crit, and gets to stack on all the extra damage to take out literally the final quarter of the boss's health. And hearing the descriptions of how each character actually helps, it feels like an anime, and it's amazing. With the exception of nobody's actually taken the chance to scream out the name of their move as they do it.
The Spaghet.
That's the wait.
There you go.
Hang on. You're right. One person has done this.
Proved you wrong.
A lot of congrats.
I'm gonna make
Thank
it a
you
recurring
so
thing. I
much
hope
to
you know
everyone.
this.
It's going to be a thing. You're going to sneak it in somewhere somehow. This Spaghet reference.
I think
Secretly.
somebody in chat suggested making a spaghetti-based monster for the book.
I could make you a spaghetti mimic for Sagas.
There you go.
Your
I
stretch
can
goal.
do it.
Can we make it like a magical item or something?
I don't think this is even a stretch goal. We can just put this in.
I don't need a stretch goal. I'll put it in there just for everyone.
And that's like one of my favorite things about Sagas is that the way we've designed it is so that it's really, really easy to homebrew your own stuff for it. Like, we can't actually say it is setting and genre agnostic for all worlds for all time, because people are going to think of things that we haven't. That's just the reality of the thing. So we needed to be able to make them and put in these very simple guidelines for creating your own things, and by following these guidelines, they'll actually be balanced and everything. And people have been using that already. They've been using this since like the Discord server started in like April. And I love seeing all the cool stuff that people come up with. I love hearing stories about games that people played at home. One, I believe Steve from Rules and Rulings on YouTube played with his 2 kiddos, and they played in a My Hero Academia setting. And one of them just made an ice dragon as a character, and it worked. And they didn't even have to like make new abilities for it, but it was absolutely brilliant. Just like reading through and watching that game like unfold vicariously through chat. It's just so I love Sagas, to no one's surprise, but I will gush about it for hours.
I was going to make the game you want.
We have a good double question. How do you recommend organizing your traits and such on the character sheet for quickly determining the right die to use for a check? It feels like a player would read through them all each time they want to attempt an action.
Fortunately, the character sheet is quite short and simple. Like, there's not going to be a whole lot of things to look through, unless you are a masochist and when you level up, you spend all of your rank points in different things and end up with 20 different talents, all at level 1.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that technically is possible.
Now
But,
that we've tweaked a few
it's pretty
things, as
short.
well as the fact that I've experienced the system a lot more, I'll be redoing the character sheet that I made to just for a few tweaks that you had asked for, just to like modify some things and pretty it up and whatnot. So there will be a new character sheet, I know.
And I'm looking forward to it. We've got another question that is directly about the reward tiers. The $30 and $40 tiers, it says, we'll be creating a Game Master Handbook to guide the GMs of Sagas to run the best games possible. Is that a stretch goal or to be added later, or am I misreading it? So don't worry. Yes, 2 a.m. brain is still functioning. I can assure you. This, there's going to be mistakes in here. This is the first one I've launched. This is one of those. You won't have to purchase or back higher tiers to get that GM advice. We actually decided to wrap that in with the core rulebook itself. Like, the first 3 or 4 pages is all going to be advice on how to run these games. And it's chock full of, like, we packed it as densely as possible because we wanted to keep the page count down. But it is completely full of all the best things that I have learned and have learned from others, watching them play, playing in their games, running my own, tried and tested pieces of advice for running Sagas. Those are going to be in the core rulebook. We're not going to make you go out and buy a separate, pamphlet to learn how to run this game. This is going to be the only book you actually need.
And we'll say it was really important to him to keep the page count down, because that way he has to pay me and Rook less for layouts and art.
That's right.
It's true. It's true. Let's see. I think we skipped one. So the anime supplement is focused more on, say, Demon Slayer instead of, say, Toradora. Well, I know what Demon Slayer is. I don't know what Toradora is. So I wish I could answer that question. I like that you brought up Demon Slayer, though, because there's going to be a streamed Sagas Demon Slayer game mid-January on Constructed Chaos's channel. I believe he's in chat. He was earlier. But he's going to be streaming a Demon Slayer game, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've seen like the first thumbnail for it, and it's I'm so hyped for it. So I don't know what Toradora is, but I think you'll be able to run whatever Toradora is in Sagas if you wanted.
Correctly, I think it's a high school drama.
Well, we've run straight up rom-coms in Sagas before. No combat,
Yeah, I think you
just roleplay, and
realistically
it
do
still
it
works
with
very well.
the base rules. Yeah.
Yeah, the system's super flexible. Charlie, for your question about wanting to get to the 40 level tiers, but worried about your being rejected if you do it on 2 separate accounts, thoughts? It should be fine. I mean, it's just gonna be a pending charge until eventual once be fun, and then it'll go through. So it should be fine, but if you're super worried about it, you can always I don't know. Sometimes it lets you like pledge extra as well too. And you can always use the pledge without the reward option too on top of it. But in the end, there will also probably be we'll add like a tip jar, and so that way you can add more onto it if you really want to, if you're really worried about it. But you can do that. Snail. You were asking, as someone whose experience is mostly D&D and a bit of Pathfinder 2E, how easy do you think Sagas will be to pick up as both a DM and player? Super easy. I can tell you as someone who also like mostly had that experience until more recently when I've gotten into other systems. It's so easy to get, like, I figured out the game within like 5 minutes of reading. Like, it's super easy to just pick up and go. And it's super fun. And as a GM, it's super freeing because you can just be like, all right, we're doing this and that, and you don't have to think super hard about it. So it's
This is
super
going to
easy.
be your gateway drug to rules light, streamlined RPGs.
Yes. Go.
They're amazing. I love them so much. And I like that you mentioned that it's easy as a GM to pick it up and even easier to run, because and that's another thing that I designed it specifically to do. Another thing I don't like about D&D is how much the Dungeon Master has to keep track of and do during, everything, mostly during combat. I mean, you're running 7 things and the party is only running 1 thing each. And so one way I got rid of the extra work that is required from someone running the game is that in most cases, game masters don't have to roll dice. So if a monster attacks someone, that someone is going to be rolling an avoid check. If they attack the monster, that someone rolls an attack check. The DM, if they're running just monsters, don't make any rolls. I mean, there are options for you can run NPCs that are built like player characters, and then you're going to have rolls, and there's rules for contested checks and everything, but those are equally simple. So it's real easy to pick up, I promise.
And if you're the type that
is from...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying about the diceless thing. I know a lot of people are like, I don't get to roll dice. As someone who's, I won't say exclusively is playing RPGs right now that are diceless for the GM, but tends to focus a bit more on them, like playtesting Vagabond or playing Cypher or something like that, you will be surprised how little you kind of miss it. You can still find ways to roll. There's still tables or random events or something, but the fact that you're not shoehorned into having to keep track of all these modifiers and rolls, you just feel so free and released to be creative and tell the story and let the players figure out all the mechanic shit.
Yep. It's real fun to be able to like not have all of the entire story on your plate and let the players take over parts of it, especially because like I've been noticing recently a lot of players are moving into that storyteller, game master, dungeon master seat because they want to understand what it feels like and be able to run it. This is the system to try this out because it's so easy. One of the biggest problems with like people actually going into yes, if you have extra funds, Vagabond is going to be amazing. So hang on to a couple extra bucks so you can get that when it comes out. But oh shit, where was I? So many things are happening right now.
Are you getting all the notifications?
All the notifications. I don't think I've ever had so many notifications all at once, and I'm not even looking at social media right now.
My boyfriend's like, your phone doesn't stop buzzing. You're so popular. I'm like, no, I just work in social media and other stuff, so I get all the notifications, and it's horrendous.
Mm-hmm. I think we have other questions that I haven't gone through yet.
Yeah, Tavernot asked, are you going to do something like backer kit for add-ons?
Yes. So there is. I'm not going to be using Backer Kit, but I will be doing add-ons through Kickstarter here. Basically, the only one we're planning right now is getting to. I believe we have it currently set, and this could change, but it's currently set at when we hit 13,000. That is going to be the exclusive cover art, alternate cover art for Kickstarter only. And you will need to get the add-on for that. And once that unlocks, I will send out an email with instructions, and I'll post it everywhere and make sure you can't miss it. If you've already backed, you'll need to go in and click on that extra add-on. But that is going to be the only way to get that exclusive cover art. So yes, we will be using that, but that is the only add-on we have planned right now.
Don't worry. We'll keep you guys updated, but we can't reveal everything to you all at once. Otherwise it loses some of the surprise.
We got to be a tease.
Yeah. Just a little.
Dance a little bit, take a little bit off at a time, so we can get excited.
But don't worry, you will have all the communication. That's part of what my job is project manager.
We're going to be communicating this constantly. I don't think I'll talk to anybody about anything else all month.
Yeah, the grocery store in line, be like, all right, I want eggs, and have you heard about SAGAS?
Listen.
Check out my YouTube channel. It's got all the information you need.
Here, I have a business card for you.
Where are the QR codes? Get the QR code. Oh boy.
Don't worry, I promise I won't do it as to an insufferable amount.
Yeah,
I might. Let's see. Can I have your players running things? Some of my players, I'm lucky if they are running half their character and not relying on me to know their characters. You might not have that problem with this because there's significantly less for them to know going into actually playing the game. Like we can start with a new player and they are as caught up as we are within the first 10 minutes of gameplay. Once they roll 1 or 2 checks, they get it. And that's it. It's real simple.
I also want
Go ahead.
I also want to point out that because a lot of the checks are designed around like a conversation of, hey, I got to convince the GM that I'm allowed to use this feature or this ability or whatever to change the size of my dice, because that is baked into the rules. It encourages players to know their character sheets so that they can actually know how to argue with the GM of, hey, I'm allowed to use a smaller dice.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those conversations. I think I've only said no like once, and it was because someone was trying to convince a rock to move, and it was a rock.
Yeah.
So there is a level of within reason. If you can actually justify using this ability to get a lower die, better die on the check, yeah, it works.
And that's why there's a GM, which is perfect. And I want to say from personal experience as well, like I started out getting introduced to Dennis through another podcast thing. It was Dungeoneers Pack thing, I think. I don't remember.
Yes, it was. That's where we met.
And you were like, hey, can you do the character sheet for me? And I'm like, all right, here's a character sheet. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really know the system. Can I just be in a one shot? And you're like, okay, cool. Let's run a one shot. And I basically knew nothing about the system. I'd sort of perused it. Didn't really know anything about it. I sat down, learned how to make a character and made a character and learned how to play the character. I'd say in like 15 minutes total. Like I just sat down from no experience to I have a character, I've made it myself, and I know the basics of playing the character in no time. It is so easy to step into. It is ridiculous.
We invited one of the mods from my Discord, and he hadn't even heard about anything that was going on. I'm like, "You want to play a game?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And it was so fast. It was so fast. Just to jump in there.
It was real
like,
quick.
Yeah. it's nice to be able to actually grab like the game manual and not have to spend an hour reading through it before you can play a game. So
one
it's,
of
it was
the
nice.
one of the actual, and I've said this on a couple podcasts and interviews, but one of the actual like initial thoughts that I've held true throughout the entire development of the system is I wanted to be able to play in any world. Like one of the reasons I started designing this in the first place is because I want to be able to play in whatever world I want without needing to learn a new system of rules. And I feel like this 100% still captures that. And it feels like you're not even learning this as a new system, like people have said, does not take long. 15 minutes tops. And that's from 0 by yourself with no teacher. Question in chat. Another one from Adam. Thank you. In a custom setting, do you think the GM should be the one to create new traits, etc., or do you feel the players should feel empowered to come up with them? Pending GM approval, of course. I think that players could be very easily able to create their own, even if they've never played before. Especially for traits and struggles, those two that stay static with your character and don't level up with you. Those are real easy to create. I think for struggles, it has to either prevent you from making a certain type of check, require a check during a certain action, or require a D12 when this struggle applies. That's it. Traits are very similar. I don't remember exactly what they are because I haven't actually gone in and made a trait in a while because I've been, editing them and marketing this thing. Talents might get a little messy. Monsters, though, I would suggest GMs make. And I don't know why a player would want to make a monster in the first place, but I would suggest that GMs that have played a game, at least one game already, don't try to create a monster until you know what a monster actually looks like and how to run it. But yeah,
I gotta say,
if you're just starting out, you could totally just make a character with entirely unique stuff that you homebrewed from scratch, having not played this game before, and it would still work if you follow those the guidelines in there.
I'm gonna say there's a bit of a mindset shift. As my buddy Dean always says, you got to shift your paradigm. You're coming from a game like D&D or Pathfinder. That's very much like, this is in the rules. The players have agency only under these character options, and the GM has to worry about the rest as far as creativity, stuff like that. But if you play a game like Powered by the Apocalypse, Fate, Cypher, any of those, and suddenly the players have all this narrative agency, you're like partly the GM. It's very much a different style of play. The players get to have a little bit more oomph in the storyline, and Sagas is 1000% within those lines, where it's like, it's a collaborative storytelling experience. It's not just the GM telling a story and the players get to tag along.
Mm-hmm. Next question. Another one from Alex. Thank you. Have you decided who will be doing the shipping? I ask because it costs the receiver money for most places to ship into Ireland. So with the actual, once we hit the funding goal, it is still entirely digital. It is not, at least for the Kickstarter. It is not until we hit that, the big first stretch goal of doing the exclusive physical copies with the alternate cover, then the shipping cost will be included in the add-on price, and we will be doing all of the printing and shipping through DriveThruRPG. They have been simple to work with. I've heard many good things about that. Ked, you've worked with them before and you're already familiar with their like what files you need to send them. So I can rely on your experience to make sure there's no hiccups there. Yes, we are going to be covering that cost for the if we get to the when we get to that stretch goal of exclusive physical copies, then that shipping cost will be included in the actual add-on cost. So you'll be paying for that shipping through Kickstarter. What different kinds of settings have you tested this with so far? I haven't been keeping a list, and I'm regretting it. There's so many. I think there is a list at close to the beginning of the story page. Where is it? Okay.
It's underneath
Here it is.
gameplay. It has a playlist of some of them, but there's also tons of other streams that are coming up as well. So
I think simply the answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely, 100%, all of them.
If you want to go all the way from Studio Ghibli to space to Pokemon, like
Pokemon was pretty great.
Heist.
Yes.
It all exists. There's a horror one-shot that recently got done.
Right now, there's another one going on Twitch.
Yeah, there's a live one.
They're live right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I should probably let them know that we launched.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm gonna go there right now.
That is Just the Human on Twitch. They're doing a Oops All Cryptids one shot. I have no idea where it's actually set, but I'm really, really excited to watch the VOD because it's got some of my favorite creators playing on that right now. So this list we've got here, it might be too small of text for you to read on the stream, so I'll read it out right now. One of my favorite ones, Pokemon in a Nuclear Winter. We did The Great Mouse Detective. We did High Fantasy with a Twist, Science Fantasy Space Exploration, Fallout, like the video game series, Fairy Tale Realms, Horizon Zero Dawn, Cosmic Horror in a Trailer Park, Multiverse with rotating settings and GMs, the Doctor Whooniverse, Arcane, like the League of Legends setting, and so much more. And if I had to pick a couple of favorites, first, that Pokemon one is one of the ones I had in mind when I started designing this. I want to play Pokemon in the apocalypse, come on. And it worked really, really well, and it was with an amazing cast. You can see it on my YouTube channel. The ending is spoilers. I won't go into it here. It's just so good. It was so much fun. I've done a couple where I think it was over on Roll D5. I ran one where we went through 10 different worlds in one session. And it is Roll D5. Even the people that run that channel even told me this is one of the best YouTube VODs we've ever had based on comments alone. And the cast I had there was fantastic. They ended up pushing Sagas to its limits, and they were trying to help this cosmic horror heal through they found out that this cosmic horror had daddy issues, and they helped him heal, and we flavored that as attacks in combat. So one of them would come back with a visage of visage of the creature's father, and would deliver this beautiful line, and then that would be damage. That's how we would flavor it, and it worked so well, and it was so much fun. So I don't have a concise list because I haven't been keeping track of it, but we've done a lot. There have been so many different settings.
We did Legend of Zelda, which was amazing because it's still one of my favorite franchises. So I'm glad we got to do that. That was fun.
Yeah, we did Legend of Zelda. There's also a streamed Legend of Zelda one over on Churney Adventures. Did a Legend of Zelda a little bit darker than the one we did. But it was really fun to dive into the lore of that game and like the very specific details of Breath of the Wild. And I turned one of the innocent side characters that you can actually find in game into the big bad of the session, which was a lot of fun.
It wasn't Tingle, was it?
No, it was not Tingle. It was actually Hino, who is he's just hanging out by a I don't remember which stable, but he's the one that researches the blood moon and its transformation and everything, and that's where that was the whole basis of the plot that we went through for that one shot, which was a lot of fun. How about if you are stupid, and when the rock does not respond, you pick it up and shake it to wake it up? Can I use a smaller die then? Yeah, that depends on how nice your game master is, because there are worlds where rocks are anthropomorphic, have thoughts, eyes, teeth, and words and feelings. In that case, you could probably use a smaller die if you had some bonus to shaking rocks and waking them up. If you can justify whatever kind of check you're trying to do with the game to your game master, then yeah, it'll work. Let's see.
Pro rock shakers. Yep.
You could even write that as a talent. Gets a D6 to shake rocks. And then you could flavor that as I'm an excellent gambler and I roll dice very well. All right. Let's see. Have you played an extended campaign with Sagas? How does the system's simplicity hold up under long-term repetitive play? Is there an upper limit to the ability to hold player engagement? We have not actually been able to test more than I think our limit was 6 sessions, just because I was doing so many other things. But there is a longer, very long campaign that's starting right now over on Random Rhapsody on YouTube. They are using Sagas to run, I believe they call it Aether Shanties, which is pirates in space. And they are going to be running that for, I think they said 2 years, bi-weekly. So we will see for sure whether it holds up there when they go through it. But a lot of Sagas is, if you don't want to do all that role-play focused gameplay, it ends up being very fast. So even if you aren't role-playing through and keeping the player's attention that way with the story and, the emotions that flow through the gameplay, the pace of the game is still going to be fast enough to keep their attention. Underwater casino heist. Yes, I fucking love it. One of the planned mini supplements that we're planning on doing is going to be also underwater, and it's going to be sort of a militaristic sci-fi underwater. You can go watch the stream where we came up with it out of thin air. Well, not out of thin air. We actually used, Rook, one of your pieces of art to inspire it. This is the Aquaborg setting, or adventure that we're going to be doing. So if you want to actually get it, don't go watch. It was.
I want to know.
It would look like a picture of a soldier in profile with a spear, and his face was a shield that had vague eyes and looked like there was water inside of it. And out of the back of his neck were 3 or 4 tubes with tons of wires, like it was ripped out of a socket. And that ended up being the big bad and the inspiration for that whole adventure.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
Ah, Jess is here. Jess, I thought you were running a game. Thanks for popping by. And Mitch, the awesome soul, thank you so much for stopping. Next question, another one from Sea Snail. Thank you. How well would you say it handles different genres, from power fantasy to horror to mystery to survival to Ocean's 11 heists? Everything you just list, we've done. So I would say quite well.
Like,
that's the short answer.
I know you haven't, you haven't seen the free version that was there, but would it work with something ridiculous like, yeah, I mean, whatever you want to throw at it, it would work, because I mean, the whole premise is really just like creativity at the max of, it is setting and genre agnostic. That is the whole premise of why it's called Sagas. So, no, it works super well. I already, I'm pretty full on games currently, so I can't run more right now, but, at least not right now, but I will soon. But I was considering running some Saga games too, and it's really cool to have all the different genres that you can throw into it, because some people are like, oh, I really want this genre, or I really like this one, I hate this type of a setting. Everyone has their own preferences, so everyone can kind of enjoy the system without feeling constrained to which way, which also gives you creativity for if you want to create your own content. You can say like, cool, even though it's this, I can still use this system and not feel like I'm bound to any which way, because you have rules in Sagas that go anywhere from, okay, if you want to be like a super normal, I'm gonna say basic human and throw out Luclarin, for example, because Snail, you're gonna know who I'm referring to. I always play humans and I want to go outside of it. You can go with that, or you can go all the way outside where I played Munchie, the squirrel food critic. Literally anything is possible. And if you watch any of the live plays, there's tons of fun content. I mean, Jess is live right now with the Oops All Cryptids, like we said, so, they're out here doing frog voices and dying over all kinds of fun stuff, so...
It does have a tendency to become chaotic, but it very much can also go the opposite, and you take it super seriously. Mm-hmm. I just find that when something is so open-ended, people, their filter for bad jokes gets looser and looser, and they just spill out as it happens. So especially for one-shots that you're throwing away as a joke, Sagas is perfect. And I have yet to play a game that wasn't fun. And that is a huge accomplishment in my own heart. Couple other questions already. Let's see. What was the biggest challenge in this process? Well, for me personally, it was, I already knew what it was going to be going into this. I've never published a game before, and Sagas was sort of born out of the OGL boom when everyone was in apocalypse mode and realizing, oh, D&D is not the only RPG out there. Cool, what's this other stuff? And I was one of the people that instead of saying, cool, what's this other stuff, I said, I could make my own stuff. And so I started doing that. And as I started going through how exactly the design process works and everything, I started wondering, what would it be like to publish something like this? And I figured the best way to learn would be to actually do it. So the biggest challenge in this process was learning all of these skills basically as fast as I can. There is editing, there is layout. I didn't know anything about layout design before this, which is why, Ked, you're here. So I've learned a ton about layout design. I've learned more about graphic design. I've learned about game design, like what is good game design in the first place. Probably the most I've learned about is marketing. And I've done several social media posts about this that just say, marketing is hard. Yes, marketing is very hard. So I think that was probably my biggest hurdle, is learning all of these new skills simultaneously, which is something I love doing. So it wasn't like it was an unfortunate hurdle. I knew it was coming, and I'm happy that it did. Did we already touch on the combat system? No, actually we haven't really touched on the combat system. If I can boil it down real quick. So, if you want to use a battle map, it uses zones instead of 5-foot squares. This simplifies movement so much. You don't have to count exactly where you're moving your piece. You can just move it one zone and that's it. You're done. Which you only have 6 options, for example, if you're using hexes. So zones makes it super simple. On your turn, you get 2 things. You get a move. You can move one zone, unless you have something that says you can move more. And you have an action. And so it's very similar to D&D in that way. And with your action, you can attack, which is the most common one probably. You can move again. And later on in the process, we started thinking of more things you could do with your action. And these aren't in the currently freely available version on drive-thru. You can brace, where if you get hit after you take the brace action, instead of losing health, you lose effort, which you can gain back by failing checks immediately. There is also encourage, where you give any amount of your effort to someone else, as long as you're able to communicate with them. And I really like this one because that's the only like restriction, is that you need to be able to communicate with them. So if someone's in an airship miles above you and they have a radio that you're listening to and you're in combat, that person miles above you can use their action in your combat to encourage you and give you their leftover effort, which is really, really nice. There is a turn order is determined by a reaction roll at the beginning. And it's very simple. It's basically the same as initiative order. Each character rolls a reaction check, which you can get bonuses, again, depending on what talents you take. And monsters don't roll dice because the GM doesn't roll dice usually. They just have a static stat. Like, as if they were to roll, it would always be a 3 or whatever their reaction stat is in their stat block. That's the basis of combat. It is, especially when after people do it once or twice, combat can go very, very fast. The only thing that can slow it down is epic descriptions, which are 100% worth, not moving on to the next turn as fast. You can also use your effort on other people's turns, so it's not like D&D where you're sitting there for 15-20 minutes waiting for your turn. You can pay attention and use your resources on other people's turns to help them.
I wish it was 15 to 20 minutes in my campaign I'm in.
No!
Right? We had a 45-minute Pathfinder round the other day. That was interesting.
Yeah, I was in a game the other day. I was able to, well, not the other day, but not long ago in D&D, where I took my turn, got up, left, walked to the store, shopped, got what I wanted, came back, and I still had a bit of time before it was my turn.
No.
Welcome to D&D.
Whereas like Sagas, like I'd barely have time to like get up and go across the room to get a drink. Like,
it's everyone's always there all the time, like paying attention, and like it's really, really easy to get player engagement using Sagas. Let's see. How do your expectations? I think this is the next one from Adam again. There we go. Yeah. How do your expectations trend for this launch as an indie system creator for this suddenly saturated market post D&D exodus? I right now I don't have expectations. I just have hopes and fears. I don't have any, like I said, I'm doing this to learn the process of what publishing a game is like. So the fact that we're almost at 1,000 raised already, huge to me. That this is wild in my heart, because I was, fearing that, we'd raise 500, then it'd stop, and we'd sit at 500 for a month, and it would fail miserably. But we've already broken way past that, but I don't have any frame of reference to have any reasonable expectations. I've been looking at doing, as much research as I can, but since I haven't actually done it myself, I can't, tell you. I'm really not sure what to expect
can I step in?
with this Kickstarter. Yes, please do. You're the one that knows these things.
So generally speaking, most TTRPG, I'll say most Kickstarters are hoping for the 33 bunch of, you're gonna have probably 33% of your funding in the first 2 days, and then 33 in your last 2, and then the rest of the 33 is in the middle chunk of however long you have between that space. For TTRPGs, it's a little different and wonky sometimes, where it's gonna be anywhere from 20 to 30% for that front and back end. But I've seen some of my own friends where in this post-Exodus of D&D, post-LGL and everything, their systems or their creations and launches have exploded in the last 2 days versus the first 2 days. You never know. It really depends on how Kickstarter algorithm's doing. That's also a huge part of it too. Be like, please algorithm gods, please like us, things like those that you can try your best to control, but you can't. But that's also where, I know we're all going to be sharing on social media. So, if you want this to succeed, the best you can do is help please the algorithm with sharing, having it saved. If people are saved and they're following the project, then Kickstarter sees that. That's also where launching it is the happy thing of, okay, we've launched it and we're almost at 10% already just from this stream in an hour, which is great of a, indie creator. That's great. Phenomenal. I think you were saying when we were first starting, before we even went live, you're like, I have 5 people, and then we got to 30
I was
people
excited
live.
about 5 guys.
We got to 30 people in the call in the live stream earlier, right? That's insane.
Yeah.
So we're really.
I don't know what to expect.
I think,
but
there's no expectation.
I imagine it's the sort of the same thing I'm going to be doing with mine. If you break even, you're happy. Anything after that, you're not looking to make bank out of this. You want to make something cool, and if you do it so it didn't bankrupt you, that would be extra awesome.
Yeah. So I think that we'll do fine. I'm really excited because there's so many great APs that are going on. AP being actual play, if you don't know that term, sorry. Tons of stuff that's going on, and I will say, you've done a phenomenal job of getting this all together already prior. So
Thanks. And for everyone else, please keep pushing those social medias. I remember when I was work with Monica Games when they're doing the Magnus Archive launch, it's really chaotic, the peaks and lows and stuff like that, depending on what social media is doing. They started strong and then it went low, and then Cypher Unlimited did a stream and it went high again. Then I did one with Monty and the Rusty Quill guys and it went high again, then it went low. It was all over the place. So if you supported this, please share on social media yourself to be I have supported this. This is why, because then you can spread the word and maybe more people will be like, hey, what's this about?
Yeah.
And that would be amazing. I've heard word of mouth, like telling other people
It is the best way.
and think would like this game about it is the best way to ensure that we're able to make this as pretty as we can.
Yeah, grab the free copy, run a game for your friends, and be like, hey, if you like that, why don't we all, like, help fund this so that we can get the, like, updated version and everything and bring it to life and enjoy the system more, you know?
All right. Yes, go do all the social media things while we continue to look through chat's questions.
There's a few of them there.
Yes, I think the next one is from Argent Wind again. Thank you for dropping in. JW Grace. Are you planning to publish adventures? Yes. So once we fund, one of the things that we are definitely going to be doing is we are going to be publishing 5 little mini supplements. 3 of those are going to be settings, and 2 of those are going to be adventures. We mentioned one of them earlier. Aquaborg is going to be underwater military sci-fi, and it's military, corporate military, sort of cyberpunk-ish genre. The other one is going to be Grim, no, not Grim. That's a setting. The Garlax Chronicle, which is something that I've run several times, like before even Sagas was even conceived of. It started out as a short, 3-4 session D&D adventure. And now that it's back in Sagas, this is the cosmic horror in a trailer park that I mentioned earlier, where there is a group of people that goes to this trailer park. Weird shit's going on, as is the case with all cosmic horror. And one really, really cool thing that I've worked into almost every single game, I think all the tests I've done, one of the player characters dies in one of the combats and comes back. And no one except that player knows the circumstances under which they came back. And as they explore this and try to escape this tiny little village and find out why all this stuff is going on, shit hits the fan, everything goes wild, and I think it's about a 50-50 chance that the players all survive. In most cases, someone or many people die and you get a bad ending. So it's one of my favorite ones. This is going to be one of the first adventures that we are going to publish with Sagas. Obviously, the core rulebook will come first, and then the adventures will come after. Another one from Adam, I think, is next. What about your history and personal experiences have shaped or even made it into the system? How much of Dan is Sagas? Well, I'm not sure who Dan is. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Dennis. It's okay. So most of Sagas is based on my inspiration from what I found is cool about other systems and what I don't like about other systems in my attempt to make something better that avoids that problem. In most cases, that other system is 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. 5th edition D&D. Because that's what I have the most experience with. So it follows that most of my inspiration would come from that. Most of my ideas were going to be based on things that are seen in 5e, but this is truly an entirely different system. And most of the things that came out of 5th edition are things I don't like about it and make sure Sagas doesn't do. So there's a lot of other inspirations as well. Powered by the Apocalypse does, I believe, I've never actually played one of those games, so no Kids on Bikes, no Kids on Brooms, no Monster Hearts, no Monster of the Week, and it's a crime. So one of these days I'll play one of those, but I've seen gameplay of it, and apparently when you fail a check, you gain experience points, and failing is the only way to level up. And I thought that was brilliant, and that is why you get effort back when you fail a check in Sagas. Another, all right, we've gone way off the rails in chat. It's actually really funny because one of my best friends is named Dan, and everyone that knows both of us just refers to both of us as Danis. Yes. And we'll mention Dan, and Den is how we greet each other because we're a little weird.
I ship that.
But yeah, so a lot of my experience, that I feel like that's just part of game design, is what you know and what you've experienced is going to be your basis for creating this system. That's very much the case with Sagas. And I think we are caught up on
no, there's a new one.
A new one. Arjun again.
We're never done.
They're never ending.
It's a 24-hour stream now.
Well, then in that case, we'll definitely get to 1,000 by the time we end.
Yeah.
I hope so.
We are only about $50 away from already being at $1,000 pledged for Sagas, which is
let's go
mind-boggling. So thank you so much to everyone who's pledged already. This is huge, and this means the world to me. I have been working on this for a very long time. This is how I spend my free time now, is designing Sagas and learning how to make it a thing. And now it is starting to hit, and I'm starting to get that.
Your baby is coming to life. They're growing.
It's coming. It's here. It's going to happen.
They're here.
It's very exciting. Okay, questions. Another one from Arjun Win. Thank you. What is your favorite genre that I have used with Sagas? And is there any genre that has been more difficult to use? So, yes, there is a favorite. Absolutely. My favorite, unfortunately, was a one-shot, but it was that Pokemon in the post-apocalypse. It worked so well. So basically the premise of the game was nuclear Armageddon. This is going to be a nuclear winter. All the humans are dead. All of the Pokemon that they had on them at the time are dead. All of the Pokemon in the wild are dead. Now, a couple decades after all of that happens, Bill's Pokemon box storage system is failing, and those Pokemon are being released out into this wasteland. Those Pokemon that were boxed forever. Those systems where people stored their, breeding for shinies. You're suddenly going to get 500 Zoroas. Just swarming.
Nothing but Magikarp.
Yeah. And they just this one Pokemon takes over this one building and churns out their own not churns out, but establishes their own power like a Raiders would in Fallout or another post-apocalypse setting. Turns into city-states or tribal sort of wars. And it was really, really cool to see 4 unique characters playing 4 different Pokemon explore this world that they emerged into. That was my favorite. The most difficult one wasn't really a whole setting. This was one of the ones that was in that Roll D5 stream we did, where we went through 10 different settings in a one-shot, and it was mechs. So when I do have a note to make an equipment that is a mech, maybe varying sizes, and if we get to the vehicle supplement stretch goal, then that's where the mechs are going to show up. but it was difficult because I didn't know how to write the rules while letting the characters maintain their autonomy and not making the character and the mech the same thing, making the character the pilot and the mech a vehicle or piece of equipment. So running that, what I did, we didn't actually have to like do mech combat, but one of the things that I would do is mostly play it by ear and making each time the player wanted the mech to do something, have to require a check to pilot the mech and make it do that thing. Because we do have rules for piloting. It is doing a check, like every other check. One of the struggles is bad driver. Checks made to pilot any vehicle or drive any vehicle must use a D12. And I think that's one of the more popular ones because people just think it's so funny. Like, they're playing, I'm just a bear, just a normal bear. Yes, of course I'm gonna be a bad driver. So, that was the most difficult. And Pokemon in the Post-Apocalypse was probably the most fun.
I gotta say, I just love that both of those exist. Like, both of those concepts. It's amazing.
They do, and they were both streamed. They're out there.
I want to do more art for them now.
I'm not going to say no. Oh. This is a good one, Adam. This might be rough. So far, what has broken your heart about this process, if anything? I don't think anything has really broken my heart about it. I've certainly had to kill a few darlings, though. Ideas that seemed really, really cool in development, and I just couldn't make work while keeping to the ideas and ideals of Sagas, a simple, universal TTRPG. I had to stop myself more than once from making specific rule sets for like vehicles, for example. Like I didn't want to I really wanted to create a whole, 5 pages of like how to do a race in like if you were doing a Mad Max setting, how vehicular combat would work versus foot combat. And I just could not justify doing that many rules for such a specific scenario and setting. Because personally, I've played a lot of TTRPGs through a lot of different, time frames, and over the last 10 years of doing so, I have never had a character pilot a vehicle. And
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if that's just the way I run games or how the games I was playing in. I know that there's entire games out there about doing these things, like Lancer. But I just have not come onto that myself, so I couldn't justify making such a large section of just such a specific scenario.
You gotta do a
supplement.
train heist.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
We did. That was one of the ones we did in alpha. It was a sci-fi western train heist, very much like
Perfect. There you go.
Book of Boba Fett, or I call it Book of Beskar because it's half Mandalorian, but that's an entirely different thing. They were doing the train heist.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the ways we tested zone combat. And that is how we came up with the optional rule of making small zones, because sometimes you have to fight in very tight, enclosed quarters. And the basic zone rules didn't work, so we put an optional tiny little paragraph that said sometimes the capacity doesn't have to be 10, it can be less.
It's tough to cut things when you're writing. Like with Void Home, I'm up to like 120,000 words now, and that's after I've cut things. Like there's some stuff I've cut where I've written 10,000 words and then I went, this is not needed for a core book. Get out. like you're gonna be a supplement later. This is not needed to be in here. Get out. And
yeah,
you gotta know when to cut it. You gotta know when, do I need this for what the players absolutely need to play the game? And you gotta make those calls, or it's gonna get to be a bloated mess. Like, I'm not gonna name systems, but there are systems that are like that. Rifts.
I've seen it too. There's a lot where Like, there's just so much book, and you don't need all of it. Let's see. Where were we in the questions? Heartbreaking from Adam. I hope we answered that one sufficiently. Let's see. How do you plan to balance accessibility against ROI, which is return on investment? My return on this investment is my pure enjoyment of playing this game. Currently, how I have it budgeted out, I'm not making money from this. There is a buffer that I might be able to profit a little bit from in case, you know, things don't go wrong. But I have not allocated any of this to myself because I'm just having so much fun putting this together and working with this team. It's been such a rewarding process, way more fun, way better, way more enjoyable than I could have imagined it even possible. So my return on investment is going to be in these supplements. Is going to be because I've had so much fun doing this, I think when we fund, which by the way, if I'm doing the math right, we are $14 away from our first 1,000. But when we fund, that is going to be my signal that yes, I might have actually, after 2 years of searching, have found my calling for what I'm supposed to be doing in the TTRPG content creation space, because I like it all. I like everything, and that's a problem because then I do everything and I don't get specific and I don't have the chance to dive really, really deep and become an expert in something. So that's my investment, and that will be my return.
The other thing is, like, I know you're mainly asking about, like, balancing accessibility, not just, like, ROI, but, like, by making it more accessible, that means it's more available for people to help provide any return. You know, like, it's helping show that, you know, we are inclusive. We're not going to be excluding other people. We're not going to ignore that, yes, there's always going to be people in the world who have a more difficult life than us, and so we're not just going to ignore them. We're going to make sure that they can enjoy the game as well. I'm thinking of it kind of in the same way that I have Little Cord. You know, I receive all these questions like, can I run paid games? And I'm like, no, because then it kind of ruins the whole point of it being, you know, inclusive to all, right? Because then it's like, well, now it's not inclusive to people who can't afford to do that, but they still want to do what they love and enjoy. So, you know, those of us who are well enough endowed with a job or money that we receive one which way or another, we can help provide the ability so that, say we do fund to a certain point, that Dennis can receive money in return as like an extra add-on to like how you're feeling and just excitement of getting your child out into the world of like, I did this, I created this, you know. You can finally get more than just that, and you're like, I can finally pay myself something. But you're also still providing, you know, to everyone else that's here, really. And when it comes to return on investment for Kickstarters, that's really not the point, because it's to help fund. Kickstarter is an investment platform in terms of like the backers are investing in a way, into ensuring that our project is a success. And then from this, it kind of creates it creates a universe of, okay, we can release other content and know that, you know, this is something that other people want. It's not just oh, the team really likes this idea, we want to release it.
It's not instead just the 5 of us that like this. Like, there's other people out there that enjoy what we're doing and want us to do more.
Yeah,
although I would like to
We
say
hit
like,
1K, by the way. I just wanted to.
hell yeah.
Yes! Yes!
I would like to say like the team, like this is a team of like people that really believe in the project. Like I've worked on many projects before. My rates are probably cheap, but they're not low or anything. But for this project, I don't even know when I'm going to get paid, because honestly, we just said we'll figure it out later. I just want to see this be a thing. And I think like as a team, that's kind of been the mindset. It's like, we'll figure it out. But right now, we just want this to be a reality because it's cool and we want people to have fun with shit. And that's how I usually approach things as well.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get into, like, okay, this is like the weird misconception of like, people don't just go into the TTRPG community with like this mindset of, I'm going to be a billionaire. Like that don't work that way.
No.
Wrong community.
The industry is not there yet. You know, there are people like that are trying to make a difference in helping push us up of like, hey, we haven't had a change since the 70s for wages here in the industry. You know, like it's not to make money, but it's to help make an impact and difference on people's lives, and other people are not just focused on D&D. You know, there's a greater chance of people seeing it. Like, yes, it's saturated, okay, but that means people are searching and looking, and like we said earlier, it could be a gateway drug if you want to call it that. Maybe you get really addicted to it and you just want to play Sagas. You know,
Gateway drug to fun.
Yay! Maybe let's not use that term for any marketing, please.
No, that's not our selling point. Just to be clear.
No. But you know, like the fact that it's already at 1,046, if my thing's accurate right now, out of 9,000, and we've been live for what, 104 minutes. Like we're rocking right now in terms of percentage. I think my friend is actually the person who just funded it and got it to 1K, because I just got a message from someone who said, "You're welcome, winky face."
Nice.
Amazing. All right, we actually have a lot more questions in the chat, so let's get through some of these. One of my players always plays a lightning dragon character. I'm just curious, how difficult would it be to create one in this system? Well, lucky for you, I was talking earlier about a 5-year-old, literally 5 years old, who made an ice dragon character. At the time, it was the most well put together character sheet I have yet seen. So, I hope that answers your question. If a 5-year-old can do it, I think you'll be able to. Literally, that is how easy this game is to like create characters and run and play. Is Sagas accessible on Roll20 or other virtual tabletop platforms? So, one of the first fan-made things that Sagas got that wasn't like, you know, look at my cool monster, or look at these abilities that I've created, or look at this potential rules supplement, was a set of differently character sheets for Roll20, all the same base, all different vibes, like for layout and font and stuff. I think Vampire Bites made, I think, 20 different ones for like a sci-fi setting, an underwater setting, like a high fantasy setting, a Feywild setting. So those character sheets definitely up there. It has also been made in, and Tav in chat can go off about this. He's made something really, really cool using a new, it's not really a virtual tabletop. It's a system designed to create games, but using it, Tav has created an overlay for streams that live updates the health and effort on their stream underneath their camera. It's really, really cool. They streamed their first game with it yesterday. Go check it out on Tavernaut. The other virtual tabletop stuff, we do actually have a stretch goal hidden in the black underneath the other stretch goal stuff of making sure that these will be accessible, fully accessible on Roll20, on Foundry, We've been looking at talking to as many as we can get, really. Alchemy is another one that I really want to get in close connection with to see if we can make that work, because they're one of the most beautiful virtual tabletops I've ever seen, and I want Sagas to be able to work on that. So yes, that is one of the stretch goals, is making this accessible as we can on as many virtual tabletops as we can. Next one, another one from Adam. Thank you. How do you reconcile your hopeful success against the success of others launching their own games without it feeling like a zero-sum game? I don't think that's really an issue in this niche. Literally, it's everyone is supporting each other. Competition is not the right word to use when comparing Sagas to other Kickstarters going on right now. If one person is succeeding, that rising tide will float all boats. It's a very, very welcoming and kind community, and it's one of the reasons I'm still a content creator, is because pretty much every single person I talk to is wonderful and supportive and fun to work with, which is, I don't think can be said about almost any other niche that is about this size or bigger.
I would like to say, I often refer to different systems as tools. It's why I've been trying to like get people to get different tools in their toolboxes for years now. I'd be like, D&D, okay, cool, but there's other tools out there. So I think of it this way: if you're a wrench manufacturer, are you going to really be upset if someone else makes a good screwdriver? Like, they're both tools, they can do different things, and there's no reason you can't have both tools in your toolbox. They don't have to compete with each other.
And I think with being accessible, Sagas isn't really going to be in competition, because competition comes from where will the viewer or the supporter spend their money. And this is really the only real competition, but once Sagas is out, it's not going to be like that, because it's going to be, you know, pay what you want. You can just grab it for free off of drive-thru if you want, once this is all done.
I will say this is the person who's asking this, they're the person that was like, "You're welcome." That was asking all the questions, and they run and play a lot of systems, so they definitely have a full toolbox. So
yes,
don't worry about
I
that.
love,
they definitely
give me a
got a full one.
TTRPG shelf that's bending under the weight of all of the goodies you have. Let's see. Question. The Kickstarter has just hit 1,000. Discuss. Amazing. Fantastic. I did notice it happen. We're actually slightly above 1,000 now. We're at 1046. I didn't think we would hit 4 digits tonight. We did. This is amazing. I don't know what other words to put it into. You are wonderful. All of you. This is fantastic. This is my baby. I'm excited to see it come to life, and you're the ones that are letting that happen, and I'm beyond thankful.
If it makes you feel better, in Canuck bucks, it's almost 1,400 that you're up to.
Oh!
I see mine in Canadian.
I would also like to point out that one person has grabbed the $200 full package plus play in game 1.
Whoa.
Ooh.
So that's
exciting. I
exciting.
am going to be running games. That is an award that you can. That is not an award. Reward tiers.
Reward?
That is a tier that you can get. You can play in a game with me. Like, I will run your Sagas game, and if it's just one person, I am more than happy to do a one-on-one, because that would be so much fun.
Highly recommend. Amazing GM, by the way.
All right. Well, we have caught up on questions. Sorry, reasonable questions.
Can I add one I'm surprised hasn't been asked?
Yes, please.
Because we've had a lot of like developers and writers and stuff in here as well, and I know you've mentioned it a bit to me. So why I'm surprised no one's asked about third-party development after it launches, and what sort of licensing you have for other people to expand upon Sagas.
I am the creator of Sagas. As long as you mention that, do what you want. This is going to be CC BY. So basically, if you want to create your own supplement and sell it, that is only going to support the getting Sagas out there so that more people can play this game and more people can play TTRPGs in general. Like, I think that there's already been a few people that have Sagas, even though it's not done, was their first tabletop role-playing game. And since then, they've tried others. So if this is your gateway, and this can be other people's gateways to TTRPGs, that would fill my heart completely. So if you want to make your own stuff with Sagas, please do so. Just let me know so I can look at it myself and gain inspiration from you, because we're all here to support each other. How much to play in a game GM'd by Danis? Danis has not put together his account yet. Right now, the tiers are the lowest tier where you can get access is $200. Once that fills up, it's $300 to join the next table. And once that fills up, it's $400 per person. And each of these are going to be a fully produced 5 full session campaign. So that's where that's sitting. I want to run your game because I love running games.
There's a secret tier though. If you buy him a new car, he'll run a game for you.
Yes, yeah. If you get me a new car, I will run a game for you. I am very comfortable saying that.
People are gonna hold you to it. Careful.
No, we shoot now. Just like in Pirates of the Caribbean, we must mention the condition in which this car need be.
Oh, good. Yeah, okay. Brand new car. Like
brand new electric
car. I don't know. I live in an apartment that doesn't have access to a... I don't think I can do an electric.
I think hybrid would be good.
Yeah. Yeah. A replacement for my Prius would be nice. All right. I think I told these people hour and a half. We are coming up on almost 2 hours. We could talk about this for another 2 hours if we really wanted to. But it's getting late here. It's getting late in other parts of the world where people are watching. So I think we are going to do a quick wrap up. We've hit 1,000 again. Thank you so much to everyone that's already backed. If you want to continue supporting, please post about this on your social media. Tell your friends about it. Send them the link to the actual Kickstarter, because that way you don't have to explain it. The Kickstarter story page can do it for you. So get the word out about Sagas. I am very excited to see that number continue to increase, and excited to see how far we can push this and how many of those stretch goals we can unlock. So again, thank you all for sticking around. Thank you for backing. Let's do some outros just because force of habit. Hi, I'm Dennis. I run this here channel, OKSDM, where I make mistakes running games so you don't have to. But right now we're talking about my game that was developed, Sagas. We've been talking about it for 2 hours. My throat's getting dry. Ked, say something.
Hey there, I'm Ked, your emotional support Canadian in the RPG industry, and I do my own YouTube channel. I am writing my own game thing in a very different type of game. And I am doing the layout work for this. I do layout and art commissions I've done it for like other books and other companies and stuff before. And I definitely am looking forward to seeing the numbers grow in this. Don't forget to share it on social medias, and grandma doesn't have to know what she's putting her credit card info for. So like get all sorts of people to sign up. And yeah, that's I just do RPG nerd stuff. You've seen me around on other channels probably as well.
Rook, you want to go next?
Sure, yeah. I'm Rook Zero again on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else, I guess. And I do art. I like doing art, and I'm glad that this has kind of a wider range than a lot of the art that I'm normally doing on the internet. So it's a lot of fun, and I hope people come up with some cool ideas that we get to explore and really have fun with. So thanks again
Excited
for
to see
everybody
what
showing
people
up
come
and
up with.
hanging out.
How about our lovely editor, Andrew?
Well, I'm not a famous YouTuber like you three guys, so I don't really have an outro. But it was fun being here. I'm glad so many people showed up, and thank you all for showing up.
And thank you, Andrew. We've been working together for a long time now. It feels like years. It's been months. I'm very excited to see where else we get to go with this. And last, but certainly not least, we would be a disorganized mess without her. Hi, Angie.
Hello, it is I. Yeah, I'm Angela. But on any socials, you can find me as either Andrew or _Andrew, depending on the platform. But yep, here to help manage and organize all the shenanigans and pull it all together into one beautiful design. And I'm really excited to see how everything's going. And thank you guys for all being here and supporting. It means a lot. So.
It really does, to me and to all of us, that you all are here and able and willing to bring our little baby to life. I'm going to hop off. We'll all be on our socials. I'm going to be on my socials for the next half hour or so, just posting and gushing about how wonderful you all are. So I'll be hanging out around for a while. You can always find me at okayest__DM on whatever social media platform you can find. Thank you again for watching, and remember, everything is going to be okay.